Welcome to the second season of Tech and AI. Enjoy the episode, and please subscribe. Thank you.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we have a really fascinating mission.
We really do. It's a fun one.
Yeah, so we are digging into an excerpt from a show called Tech and AI. And specifically, we're exploring this concept they break down called style lock.
Right, which is just such a cool name for it.
It is. Yeah. And the mission for our conversation today is to essentially solve a very modern, and I'd say very frustrating dilemma.
Oh, totally frustrating.
Like, how can you use AI to dramatically scale up your content creation, whether you're, writing weekly newsletters or drafting scripts for videos, or even just trying to get through a massive mountain of work emails without losing your unique personality?
Exactly. How do you get the speed without sounding like a total robot?
Right. Because I think regardless of your technical expertise, you've likely felt that immense pressure to just produce more output faster.
Everyone is feeling it right now.
Yeah, but you also probably know that sinking feeling of generating an AI draft, reading it over and just thinking, this doesn't sound like me at all.
It's the ultimate balancing act. Everyone wants to scale, but nobody wants to sacrifice their actual identity to get it.
Exactly. So, okay, let's unpack this, because the material we're looking at today promises a complete creator workflow with, actual tangible guardrails to protect your voice.
Which is huge.
It is. And to start, I want to share a feeling I get whenever I read raw AI output. You walk into a model home in a new housing development?
Oh, yeah, like the ones with the fake fruit bowls.
Yes. There is this immediate sense of absolute perfection. The pillows on the couch are, flawlessly fluffed. The dining table is set for this grand dinner party that is literally never going to happen.
Right, and there's absolutely zero clutter anywhere.
Exactly. It's completely pristine. But it also feels completely sterile. I mean, there are no scuff marks on the baseboards. There aren't any of those weird tacky magnets on the fridge from a family road trip.
Yeah, it completely lacks the messiness of actual life.
Yes. And that is exactly the sinking feeling I get these days when I read a first draft generated by AI. You look at the text and it's grammatically flawless, the structure is perfectly logical, but you just sit there thinking, nobody lives here.
Right. It's a simulation of a home rather than a place where someone actually lives. And that sterile feeling is exactly what this style lock concept is trying to cure.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but to understand the solution, we first kind of have to examine the root of the problem. Why does AI strip away our unique style so consistently?
Right. Why does it always default to that?
Well, there are essentially three main culprits at play here. The first is simply overdependence. This happens when you just type a quick prompt, wait 5 seconds, and then accept that very first draft as the final product.
Oh, guilty. Just copying and pasting directly into the void.
Precisely. I mean, you're outsourcing the entire thinking process. The second culprit is the lack of a style reference. You give the AI a topic to write about, but you give it absolutely no target for how it should sound while writing it.
Right. You just say, write a post about marketing and leave it at that.
Exactly. And the third is optimizing strictly for SEO-like, search engine optimization, while completely forgetting about personality. When you combine those three behaviors, you end up with what the source material perfectly describes as the internet default voice.
The internet default voice. I absolutely love that term.
It's so accurate, isn't it?
It really is. It instantly makes me think of hotel lobby art. The exact kind of art I'm talking about.
Oh, totally. The stuff by the elevators.
Right. It's usually some abstract landscape, maybe some muted beige and maroon. It's perfectly pleasant, totally inoffensive. The colors match the carpet beautifully, but absolutely no one stops to take a picture of it.
No one even remembers it 5 seconds later.
Exactly. It is entirely forgettable because it was designed specifically to not bother anyone.
And what's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism, the mathematical reason why that hotel lobby art voice actually happens.
Oh, break that down for me.
So AI models, at their core, are fundamentally trained to be amazing at averages. They work by predicting the most statistically likely next word based on massive, massive data sets of human writing.
Okay, so it's basically playing the odds.
Exactly. So if you don't actively anchor the AI with specific constraints, it will mathematically drift toward the most average generic output possible. It essentially defaults to the median of human communication.
Oh, wow. So if you don't tell it what to do, it just aims for the middle.
Right.
Think about the last time you read an article or a LinkedIn post that started with the phrase, "in today's fast-paced world."
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right. That is a dead giveaway. That is the mathematical drift in action. It's just overly polite, slightly corporate filler.
Exactly. It is the machine playing it as safe as mathematically possible. It doesn't want to be wrong, so it becomes bland.
Makes total sense.
So the question becomes, how do you actually stop that drift? You have to build an anchor, and that requires doing prep work before you ever even open an AI tool.
Okay, so what's the prep work?
You have to define what is called your creator DNA.
Which is such a practical exercise. I love this part of the material. Your creator DNA is essentially broken down into 4 specific sliders.
Yeah, think of them like dials on a mixing board.
Right. So first, tone. Where do you fall on the scale between serious and playful? Second is pace. Is your delivery rapid fire and energetic? Or is it more reflective, methodical, and slow?
I'm probably more rapid fire, honestly.
Same here. And then third is opinion. Do you stay neutral and just present the facts, or do you have a strong, distinct take on things? And finally, language. Do you use simple, highly accessible words, or are you highly technical and academic?
And, defining those sliders isn't enough on its own. Once you've set them, you have to formalize it with a style contract.
A style contract.
Yeah, this involves explicitly writing out 10 always rules and 10 never rules for your content.
Right. So an always rule might be always use short, punchy sentences, or always include 1 bold opinion per segment, always end with a clear call to action.
Exactly. You are forcing the math of the AI to focus on those specific structural elements.
And conversely, the never rules act as like negative constraints.
Right.
So you might write, never use corporate buzzwords, never use phrases like, in today's fast-paced world, avoid overly polite filler.
Yeah, by doing this, you are explicitly telling the AI what the boundaries are. You're drastically shrinking the probability that it will use that generic vocabulary.
Okay, so once that DNA is locked in, the framework moves into how you actually interact with the software. And this introduces the concept of the creator stack.
Yes, the creator stack is huge.
The philosophy here is to stop looking at AI as this magic machine that does everything at once, and start viewing it as a team of highly specialized colleagues.
You basically give them distinct, separated roles, which is a profound shift in workflow, really.
How so?
Well, instead of one massive prompt, you break the tasks apart. First, you have the idea partner. This is the role where you brainstorm, you spot trends, and you find new angles.
Okay, so that's step 1.
Right. Then you have the writer role, which is strictly for drafting the scripts, the hooks, and the basic outlines. Next is the editor, whose only job is tightening the prose, fixing clarity, and adjusting the pacing.
Okay, and then you have the producer, right?
Yeah.
Handling the packaging, the titles, the tags, the descriptions, pulling short clips.
Exactly.
And finally, the QA, or quality assurance role, which is dedicated to fact-checking and ensuring the final piece actually aligns with your brand voice.
It's a whole team.
But wait, so what does this all mean? I won't push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because if you hire a brand new intern in the real world, you would never sit them down on their very first day and say, okay, brainstorm a new campaign, write the whole draft, edit yourself, and hit publish on the company website.
No, that would be a disaster.
Right. You'd never do that unsupervised. So why do we make the exact same mistake by opening a single AI window and asking it to do the entire creative process from start to finish?
That's exactly it. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about treating automation with intention. Segmenting AI into these highly specific roles does 2 crucial things.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, mathematically, it prevents the blurring of your voice. When you give an AI too many instructions at once, like be creative, but be precise, write the draft, but also edit it, the instructions compete, and the output just gets totally muddled.
Ah, so it gets confused by its own rules.
Right. By controlling the inputs at every single stage with a single objective, you prevent the machine from hallucinating a generic path from idea to final draft.
It keeps the AI focused.
Exactly. And second, it forces the creator to think critically about which part of their creative process actually needs automation.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because maybe you genuinely love writing the draft, but you absolutely hate coming up with YouTube titles and tags. This stack approach lets you automate the friction in your workflow without outsourcing the actual creativity.
That makes total sense. So we have the DNA defined, we have our AI teammates hired and assigned their specific roles. What does this actually look like on a Monday morning? Like, when does the human actually step back into the driver's seat?
It all begins with the idea and angle phase. But notice, the very first step of this workflow isn't a prompt.
It's not.
No, it is a question the creator must ask themselves first. what do I actually believe?
Yes, because your style isn't just a collection of facts. The concept here is that style equals your opinion combined with your story.
That's a great way to put it.
Facts are universal, right? Anyone can Google them. But your take on those facts is yours alone.
Precisely. Once you have that core human belief, then you turn to your AI idea partner. You ask it to generate 10 potential hooks, 5 controversial questions related to the topic, and 3 story frameworks.
Like what kind of frameworks?
For example, a framework moving from a problem to a struggle to an insight to a takeaway. The heavy lifting of structure is done by the AI, but the seed of the idea is entirely human.
Okay, then we move to the outline and scripting phase. This relies on building what's called a voice-safe outline.
Right, the voice-safe outline.
It needs a cold open that captures your personal vibe, a clear promise to the audience about what they'll learn, the main beats of the topic, and, this is critical of my take segment, this my take is your authenticity anchor.
And that leads directly to the golden rule of this entire workflow.
The 20% rule.
Yes. The 20% rule dictates that the AI is allowed to write the first draft based on your outline, but the human must completely rewrite the top 20%.
Wait, really? The top 20% manually?
Yep. Specifically, you as the creator must personally write the opening hook, you must write that my take segment, and you must write the closing call to action.
So the AI is only allowed to tighten and structure the middle.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. I have to wonder about the efficiency here.
How do you...
Well, if a creator goes through all this trouble to set up the AI, define the DNA, use the specialized stack, but they still have to manually rewrite the top 20% of the content every single time, are they actually saving time? Or have they just invented a new, highly complex chore for themselves?
It is a very fair challenge, it really is. But the reality of content creation is that identity lives in the margins.
The margins.
Yeah, it lives at the start, in the opinion, and at the end. Think about explaining a complex topic, like how a specific tax law works.
Okay, sounds boring, but go on.
Right. The middle part, the structural explanation of the law, is just data. Automating that heavy lifting of organizing facts, providing context, or explaining standard concepts is where the true time savings occur.
Ah, I see.
The creator isn't inventing a new chore. They are reallocating their energy away from tedious structural work so they can spend it entirely on the specific moments that actually build a connection with the audience.
There are 2 great case studies in the source material that ground this perfectly.
Yes, the gaming and health creators.
Exactly. So the first is a gaming creator. Now, this creator uses AI to do the truly tedious stuff, generating the episode outline, structuring the strategy guides for how to beat a specific boss, and doing all the mind-numbing timestamping for the video.
Nobody likes doing timestamps.
No. But the creator personally writes the trash talk. They write the hype moments, and they write the final opinion on whether the game is actually worth playing.
And the second case study is a health and education creator. They use AI to structure the script and come up with clear, patient-friendly analogies for highly complex medical terms.
Which AI is really good at.
It's fantastic at it, but the creator personally steps in to write about the ethical boundaries of the topic, to share personal experiences, and to script the what I do in my actual clinic segment. The AI builds the house. The human provides the warmth.
Even down to the recording phase, like when you're on mic or on camera, you shouldn't try to be flawless. Keep the micro pauses in the edit. Keep the small laughs.
Let it be a little messy.
Yeah. If you stumble on a word and have a real spontaneous reaction, keep it. And if you're utilizing an AI voiceover tool, you have to consciously inject human elements into the script, like a highly specific personal story that an AI couldn't possibly have lived.
Okay, so the workflow is set. The human and the AI are working in tandem. But how does a creator maintain this balance over months and years, especially as they scale up their output?
Right, consistency is the hard part.
It is. And this brings us to the style lock system and rethinking how we actually measure success.
Yeah, so the Style Lock Toolkit is basically the physical guardrails. It includes 4 main elements.
Let's hear them.
First, a style guide prompt, which is your creator DNA, and those always never rules we talked about earlier, baked into one master prompt. Second, a reference pack. This is brilliant. You literally feed the AI your 3 best, most successful scripts and captions, so it has a gold standard to mimic. It gives the math a target.
Right. Third is the banned phrase list, which actively kills that generic internet default language before it even happens.
Goodbye, fast-paced world.
Exactly. And fourth, your signature moves. These are the recurring patterns that your audience expects from you. It might be a segment called My Take, or a quick test you always run, or a recurring phrase like one rule to remember.
They also recommend a 2-pass editing system. Pass 1 is just for clarity, like, does this make sense? Pass 2 is strictly for personality. Does this sound like me?
And this philosophy extends all the way to publishing and repurposing, too.
Oh, definitely. When it comes to SEO, the formula they give is clear topic plus a strong benefit plus your unique angle. For example, creators in AI, grow faster without sounding generic. Avoid those robot summaries in your descriptions.
Furthermore, when you repurpose content, say, turning a long video into a newsletter, the rule is to transform, not just copy.
Because the context of the platform changes.
Exactly. A 20-minute video doesn't translate directly to a text post. If you have a long video, you don't just chop it up randomly. You pull one specific hook, one myth bust, and one personal take to create 3 distinct short videos.
And for a newsletter.
The framework might be one idea, one story, one action. If the repurposed content feels like a duplicate of the original, it probably is.
Which brings us to the metrics. Now, yes, obviously you still need to track standard growth metrics like click-through rate, retention, and subscriber growth.
Sure, you can't ignore the numbers.
Right. But you must heavily prioritize what are called style metrics. You need to look at the comments and ask, are people saying, wow, this feels so you? Are your viewers actively quoting your own phrases back to you?
That's the best feeling.
It really is.
Yeah.
Can a new viewer recognize your specific format within the first 10 seconds of a video? And maybe the most important metric, are you actually proud of the final cut?
But again, oh wait, you're going to push back again, aren't you?
I am. I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Let's hear it.
In a landscape that is completely dominated by ruthless, numbers-driven algorithms, can a creator really afford to prioritize pride in the final cut over raw views and clicks?
It's a tough question.
Right. If the generic robot voice gets 100,000 views and the authentic voice gets 10,000, isn't the creator incentivized to just be the robot?
This raises an important question about the long-term sustainability of being a creator. It is very easy to chase short-term algorithmic spikes by sacrificing your voice to the medium.
Sure, you get the quick dopamine hit.
But content creation is a marathon, not a sprint. If your content is growing rapidly, but you absolutely hate what you are producing because it feels hollow and sterile, you will eventually burn out.
You'll just quit.
You will stop making content altogether. In that scenario, growth that costs you your voice isn't a win, it's a trap. Protecting your style is ultimately about protecting your longevity in the space.
That is a really powerful way to look at it. So let's bring it all together. The core thesis here is clear. AI should be your amplifier, not your identity. By viewing these tools as specialized teammates, rather than a magic fix-all, by fiercely protecting that top 20% of your content with human writing, and by applying strict style lock guardrails, you can dramatically increase your output while staying entirely true to yourself. Keep the scuff marks on the baseboards. Keep the tacky magnets on the fridge.
It's about engineering the workflow so that your unique perspective remains the focal point while the machine handles the scaffolding.
Yeah. But it leaves me thinking about something we haven't touched on, a kind of ripple effect.
Okay, what's that?
Well, if AI is fundamentally amazing at producing averages, and millions of people start using these tools, then the baseline of what is considered average content is going to continuously shift higher and higher.
That's true. The floor is being raised.
Right. The new median will soon be flawlessly structured, grammatically perfect prose. So if perfection becomes the new boring average, will the most recognizable mark of true human authenticity simply be radical imperfection?
Oh.
Are we going to reach a point in the near future where we have to explicitly engineer flaws, stumbles, and illogical tangents into our AI prompts just to prove to our audiences that we are human?
Now, that is a wild thought to leave off on.
Something to think about for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.